Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to do we're going to do a Dungeon Masters exploration of the film Joker: Folie. And spoiler warning, there are spoilers for Joker: Folie here. All right, so first of all, is Joker: Folie canon to Dungeons and Dragons? Yes, I believe so. Let's walk there together. So, Sophie Dumond is played by Zazie Beetz. Okay, Zazie Beetz played um, Domino in Deadpool 2. Deadpool is Marvel. Marvel is canon to so Marvel is canon to um, Dungeons and Dragons through Magic the Gathering. And so it is likely that Sophie Dumond is a Dungeon. So all Marvel characters are canon to Dungeons and Dragons now through the Magic the Gathering bridge. Magic the Gathering Marvel crossover has already been announced, so that means that all of the Marvel characters are now on the Dungeons and Dragons are now canon to Dungeons and Dragons in my humble opinion. Then, logically, the reason that Sophie Dumond looks exactly like Domino is that Sophie Dumond is a Domino variant placed into Joker Folie by the TVA, right? So I believe what we watched, Joker Folie is a Dungeons and Dragons canon film through that path, right? So and that's why it's worth exploring to see if there's any lessons for the Dungeon Masters and Dragon Masters who participate in Dungeons and Dragons today. So let's dive into that. Okay. So what does a Dungeon Master learn from this film, and what does a Dragon Master learn from this film? Let's start with Dragon Masters. Okay, so as Dragon Masters, we come to the table. We sign a social contract. That social contract is the physical character sheet. We make a promise to ourselves to be true to the narrative. We make a promise to the Dungeon Master to build an incredible, compelling narrative with them. We make a promise to every Dragon Master at the table to build a compelling narrative with them. And we make a promise to the player character to be true to what we genesis, right? And to give them the maximum amount of freedom and leverage as a character, right? So, and we do this, and so, we jump in and we do this, right? But, and once we do this, once we've signed that social contract and we begin the work, we begin the genesis of this player character. We invest ourselves in the character, and at some point, the character invests back into us, and there's a merge, right? There's a point where when we are in the IRL, we are using aspects that we've gained from the character. And certainly when the character is on O-Earth, right, that character is gaining from aspects of ourselves. So at this point, we merge ourselves into the character merges itself into us. And once that's achieved, we have this second identity, right? And this is incredibly important, and we need to be very careful as we proceed, with and then we proceed carefully, right, to build this second identity, right? And then once we've done that, once we have this second identity, and a third, and a 21st, and a 30th, right? Once we have these identities that we have built, at that point we get to choose who we are, right? Who is the actual self? Who has the most from the amalgamation of identities that has been achieved, right? Now this gets very interesting. who has who and I think that's the issue, is where, where do we land, right? And so let's talk about that, okay? So I'm going to put that on a shelf, okay? And we're going to continue to think about this. Joker Folie Ado is specifically crafted to bring a powerful lesson to every Dragon Master, in my humble opinion. And I think the reason why that is when this was written, these writers are thinking about Dungeons and Dragons. They're thinking about Dungeon Masters. They're thinking about Dragon Masters. And the reason why is nothing in Hollywood, right, is free of Dungeons and Dragons influence. Hollywood has been completely infiltrated by Dungeons and Dragons writing, Dungeons and Dragons narrative, Dungeons and Dragons levels, every concept, right? It's just such a huge aspect of Hollywood, right? So what is the Dragon Master message from Joker Folie Ado? Okay, so here we go. So in this movie, Joker is being tried for the murder of 5 people. Okay, and Joker and Arthur Fleck, actually, Joker, actually informs us, the audience, at multiple points in the film. He's like, well, the reality is, I actually killed 6 people. I killed my mother too, right? So Joker is a murderer. He's killed 6 people, right? And when he's in prison, as he comes to prison, we get this. As he he goes to prison, the guards treat him terrible, and we get to this point where Joker is going to court to be tried for his crimes, right? So he goes in, and his lawyer is like, listen up, Arthur. I want you to talk to all these people, and I want you to tell them that you've had a fracture, that you are 2 people, right? That there's Joker, which is this sick, which is a part of your mental imbalance, right? And that Arthur Fleck is innocent, and the person who did these murders is Joker, right? And we need to make it clear that Joker is a mental imbalance, right? It's not really you. It's not real. It's just something. It's just a fracture, a mental imbalance that is a fracture, right? A fracture that is a mental imbalance, right? And so Arthur's like, hey man, I don't think you really understand me. I don't think you know who I actually am, right? And so then we get into this question of who are we seeing? Is it Arthur Fleck, this small victim, or is it Joker, this incredible conqueror, who each day when he arrives at court, literally tens and hundreds of followers are ready to be led by Joker, right? No one is there for Arthur Fleck. And actually, Joker explains this. He's like, no one's here for Arthur Fleck. People are here for Joker, right? So at that point, Arthur Fleck then fires his lawyer because Joker meets Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is like, you need to represent yourself as Joker. And so Joker fires his lawyer and says, I don't want to talk to you anymore because you think the strongest part of me is literally a mental imbalance, right? You're denying who I am, right? And at this point, with Harley Quinn's encouragement, Arthur Fleck accepts his self, right, as Joker. And then he completely transforms his defense, right, and actually starts to move things forward and is able to actually take control of his own narrative, right, and begins to show strength where Arthur Fleck could really not show anything, right? So, and at that point, I think what really gets interesting is um, Harley is saying your true self is the conqueror Joker. This victim, Arthur Fleck, that's the fracture that needs to be left behind, right? And I think this is the lesson for every Dragon Master. We choose. Once we have created these identities, we own them, right? They are us. We are them. We get to choose, right? Now, with that said, sometimes we need somebody who can help us see clearly. And I think in this film, Harley really helped Arthur see clearly, right? Who he really was, which is Joker, not Arthur Fleck. That he was not victim Arthur Fleck, but conqueror Joker. Not someone who no one would follow, but someone who many would follow, right? And so I think that is the Dragon Master takeaway from Joker Folie Deux, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard was my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.